The internet is on fire right now because Drake, yes, Drake, the global icon who built an empire on confidence, charisma, and controls, just suffered the most devastating public humiliation of his career. And what makes it even more shocking? Cameras were rolling the entire time. For years, Drake has been the master of reinvention, dodging scandals, silencing rivals, and turning every controversy into another chart-topping anthem. But this time, the armor cracked. In the middle of a brutal lawsuit that no one expected him to lose, Drake snapped. Witnesses describe a scene that feels ripped out of a movie. The courtroom filled with gasps. Drake slamming his fists on the table, his voice echoing with rage as he cursed at lawyers, judges, and even former allies. And the worst part? Someone leaked the footage. Right now, millions are replaying the moment Drake went from an untouchable superstar to a man completely consumed by rage, panic, and betrayal. But here's where things get darker. Insiders are saying this meltdown wasn't just about losing money. It wasn't just about pride. This lawsuit, according to shocking new leaks, is tied to secret deals, backstabbing betrayals, and a hidden trail of messages that could expose the real Drake's, the side of him he never wanted the world to see. And tonight, we're going to break it all down. The meltdown, the lawsuit, the secrets, and the final twist that no one saw coming. Buckle up, because this is only the beginning to understand how Drake's world collapsed in such a spectacular fashion. We need to go back to the roots of this storm, back to the enemies he made along the way, and back to the business moves that turned friends into rivals. Because make no mistake, this meltdown didn't come out of nowhere. This was a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. For years, Drake has been painted as the golden boy of the industry. From his early days on Degrassi to becoming the face of OVO, he perfected the art of reinvention. But with fame came whispers. The ghostwriting accusations, the secret feuds, the women who claimed he betrayed them, the shady business ventures that seemed to vanish without explanation. And while Drake always found a way to spin the narrative in his favor, insiders say he left behind a long trail of anger, resentment, and broken promises. And one of those promises, as it turns out, is exactly what dragged him into this lawsuit. The lawsuit stems from a business deal gone terribly wrong, something Drake thought he could bury under lawyers and NDAs. But the truth clawed its way back to the surface. Sources reveal it began with a little-known startup called Aurora Sound Entertainment. On paper, Aurora looked like just another streaming experiment, small, ambitious, and risky. But behind the scenes, Aurora's founders believed they had the key to revolutionizing music distribution. And what's more, they believed Drake was their golden ticket, according to leaked documents. Drake personally assured Aurora's founders he would not only invest millions, but also use his influence to push the platform to the top. Imagine it, the biggest rapper in the world, the man whose cosigns can turn underground artists into superstars, promising exclusive content. Aurora's founders thought they'd struck gold. But here's the betrayal. Within months, Drake allegedly pulled out of the deal. Not only did he walk away, he reportedly funneled his money into a rival platform. Emails that later surfaced suggest that Drake's team openly mocked Aurora in private conversations, calling them rookies and easy money. One alleged email even read, "Aurora's dead in the water. We'll milk them for all they're worth and move on." Those words would come back to haunt him. Aurora collapsed. Employees lost their jobs. Investors lost millions. And the founders, humiliated and betrayed, swore revenge. At first, they tried to settle quietly, sending legal letters demanding compensation. But when Drake ignored them, thinking his wealth and lawyers would make the problem vanish, they escalated. Fast forward to now. A full-blown lawsuit, millions at stake. and Drake cornered in a courtroom, where money and fame couldn't shield him. But here's what makes this story even more dramatic. This wasn't just about business. No, this lawsuit has roots in personal betrayal. One of Aurora's co-founders wasn't just a random businessman, he was a former close associate of Drake, a man who had once been part of his inner circle. That's right, this wasn't just a corporate clash. This was revenge, and insiders say this co-founder, who we'll call Marcus for now, kept receipts. Years of text messages, emails, even recorded phone calls between him and Drake, evidence he unleashed in court like a weapon. According to leaked court transcripts, Marcus stared directly at Drake as he testified, saying, "He looked me in the eye and promised me loyalty." But loyalty meant nothing to him. Fans in the courtroom reportedly gasped. Some even said Drake's face turned pale. But let's pause here. Because while this lawsuit might look like a simple business betrayal on the surface, the truth is so much darker. Insiders are whispering about financial secrets, hidden investments, and private recordings that paint a completely different picture of Drake, the one he desperately tried to keep hidden. And if you think the lawsuit itself is shocking, wait until you hear how Drake reacted when the verdict was read. Because what happened next wasn't just a loss. It was a meltdown of epic proportions, the kind of breakdown that shatters careers, and we have the leaked details. But before I expose that, let's dive deeper into how this courtroom showdown played out, because what happened inside those four walls will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about Drake. The courtroom smelled like tension. The air was heavy. Reporters were lined up shoulder to shoulder, and whispers bounced off the walls as the biggest trial in hip-hop history unfolded. Everyone was there for one reason: to see if Drake, the untouchable megastar, would finally face consequences he couldn't escape at first. Drake entered the room like the man we all know, the confident superstar. Cool shades, tailored charcoal suit, smirk plastered across his face. He leaned back in his chair, whispered jokes to his lawyer, and looked completely unfazed. To fans, it seemed like a performance. Drake was showing the world that nothing could rattle him. But insiders who were there said something different. They claimed Drake's hands were shaking under the table. They claimed his eyes darted toward Marcus, the former associate turned enemy, like a predator trying to intimidate its prey, but failing to mask fear. Then the evidence began to roll out. Aurora's lawyers wasted no time. They projected emails, contracts, and text exchanges onto giant screens so everyone in the courtroom could see. And with each new revelation, gasps grew louder. One email allegedly from Drake's team read, "We'll bleed Aurora dry, then pivot. He'll never know what hit him." Another showed Drake apparently mocking Marcus in a group chat. "Marcus thinks he's building the future of music. Bro can't even build his future rent." The courtroom erupted. People whispered, some laughed nervously. But Drake's mother, seated just rows behind him, covered her face with her hands. And then came the most damaging blow: a secretly recorded audio clip. Marcus had kept receipts, and this one was nuclear. In the recording, Drake's voice, clear and unmistakable, could be heard saying, "They're nobodies. I'll string them along, then dump them when something better comes." That's the game. For years, Drake's brand had been built on loyalty, brotherhood, OVO family values. But here he was, exposed, admitting to betrayal as if it were strategy. Reporters tweeted updates in real time. One viral post read, "At court leaks. This recording just destroyed Drake's defense." Gasps in the courtroom. Drake looks shaken. #DrakeCrial. #DrakeCrial. Fans outside the courthouse screamed as they read the updates on their phones. Some refused to believe it, while others posted memes of Drake as a puppet master cutting strings. But the meltdown wasn't far behind. when Aurora's lawyer played the final clip. It's a private video of Drake in a meeting, leaning back in a leather chair, sipping whiskey, and saying, "At the end of the day, loyalty doesn't pay bills. Money does." That's when Drake lost control. He slammed his fist on the table so hard that the microphone rattled. His voice cracked as he yelled, "This is fake. This is all fake. You think you can bury me with lies?" The judge banged the gavel, demanding silence, but Drake wouldn't stop. His lawyer tugged at his arm, whispering for him to sit down. But Drake shook him off. Reporters described the scene as chaos. The judge's voice echoed, warning Drake that if he didn't calm down, he would be removed from the courtroom. But it was too late. The mask had shattered. One insider whispered that Drake's eyes were filled with tears. Were filled with tears. Eyes. Woe. Woe Nez care. Only Ruby Kiss has the luxury 6 we are allies to serve. We are our 6th hill Nez, Muthsi, Scav. You know my C's you might have, Sabais. We have C's at C's8, you will play CZF. We have CZs. We have CZF, declade it go to a say size. We see cod. We have ples. I only bat to say it, good guide. We say mean it said it. I say we say it all sick Greek kakeg to let speaks to big that I have out reason set leak to bed sits to the click. I be kick pest humiliation, maybe even fear. He stood, pointing directly at Marcus, shouting, "You'll regret this. You don't know who you're messing with." The entire courtroom fell silent, and then, out of nowhere, Marcus smirked. A cold, calculated smirk that sent chills through the crowd. He leaned toward the microphone and simply said, "Everyone knows who I'm messing with. And now, so does the world." That moment spread across social media like wildfire. Within minutes, #DrakeMeltdown was trending globally. Memes, GIFs, fan theories, every corner of the internet was buzzing. But here's where the first shocking twist comes in. Because just when everyone thought they'd seen it all, new leaked messages surfaced, online messages that weren't even presented in court. Screenshots began circulating on Twitter, supposedly showing conversations between Drake and high-profile industry figures. One alleged text to a powerful record executive read, "Don't worry, I'll sabotage Aurora from the inside. They'll collapse before they even launch." Another, allegedly to a fellow rapper, said, "Marcus thinks he's smart. Watch how fast I bury him." Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing. Was Drake really orchestrating a takedown behind closed doors? But the twist didn't stop there. Because hours after the meltdown, a mysterious anonymous account posted a bombshell thread on Twitter. The account, under the name @InsiderOVO, claimed to be someone deep inside Drake's camp. And what they revealed was terrifying. The thread read, "You think you saw everything in court today. That was nothing. The real secrets haven't even come out yet. Drake has more enemies than you can imagine, and one of them is about to expose him." Screenshots attached to the thread appeared to show even darker conversations of hush money payments, NDA threats, and secret partnerships with shady investors. Fans went into a frenzy. Was that Insider OVO real? Or was it just another troll feeding the chaos? Nobody knew. But one thing was certain. Drake's meltdown in court was only the tip of the iceberg. And as the footage of his breakdown began spreading across every platform, industry insiders started whispering, if these leaks are real, Drake's entire empire could collapse overnight. But here's the real kicker. While everyone was focused on Drake's courtroom rage, something else happened that very same day, something even more shocking. Something that flipped the narrative upside down. Because just when fans thought the lawsuit was the scandal of the century, A second twist hit the internet, and this one was far more dangerous. The meltdown in the courtroom was explosive enough, but what happened after? That was the true beginning of Drake's nightmare. Because while the world was laughing at memes of him screaming at the judge, something far darker was brewing behind the scenes. It started with the leak. The anonymous Count at Insider Ovo had dropped hints during the trial. But now they returned with something far more damning. They uploaded a massive Google Drive folder filled with alleged screenshots, voice notes, and confidential documents. The caption was simple, chilling. The meltdown was just the beginning. Here's the real Drake. Share before it's deleted. The folder spread like wildfire. Thousands downloaded it instantly, and within hours, clips and screenshots were flooding every corner of the internet. And what those files allegedly contained shook the industry to its core. One audio note, supposedly from a phone call, captured Drake's voice saying, "I control this industry. If anyone steps out of line, I'll ruin them." Another file appeared to show bank transfers millions wired to offshore accounts, linked to names that industry insiders recognized as notorious fixers. But the file that broke everything? A supposed WhatsApp exchange between Drake and a mysterious contact labeled only as the silent partner. In it, Drake allegedly wrote, "Marcus is done. Once the lawsuit's over, I'll make sure he never works again." He'll beg for scraps. Fans were horrified. Was this proof Drake was plotting revenge even before the verdict? Twitter exploded. Fake leaks, real leaks, nobody could tell anymore. But the drama was irresistible. Hashtags like #DrakeExposed, #SilentPartner, and #CancelDrake trended for days. But then came the second shocking twist, because buried deep inside that leaked folder was something nobody expected, a video file, and not just any video. This was grainy security footage from a Toronto recording studio. The date stamp showed it was filmed months before the trial. The video showed Drake in a heated argument with none other than Nuncestic, My Only Lipstick, Ruby Kiss. Ruby Kiss, only Ruby Kiss, only Ruby Kiss has the luxury to sift Lysanig. Nighty sicht, how made segs, it's so mas made seg. May made seg, may made. Maid sells at maid segs, nights at nights, my sec, night sect. Nights maid cunts, my maid my said, to maid seb it, my maid it come, may it. Fi it's a maid said, like say a cat add to may it said, it's a guy gets it's go it's a code to say it's a lutz sick it the da it's the says sick it to this to tick about said it lit it oh it that's Marcus. The two men were nose to nose, voices raised. Though the audio was muffled, lip readers quickly jumped in, decoding what was said. "Marcus, you promised me. You shook my hand. You swore this was loyalty." Drake, furious, jabbing his finger into Marcus's chest. "Loyalty. To you, don't ever think you're on my level. You're nothing without me." The clip ended with Drake slamming the studio door and storming out. The internet went insane. News outlets replayed it non-stop. Analysts debated whether the footage was authentic. Some claimed it was deep-faked, others swore it was real. But either way, the damage was done. The image of Drake's a loyal friend, the family man, the untouchable star, was gone. What the world saw now was arrogance, betrayal, and rage. And then, celebrities started chiming in. A rival rapper posted on Instagram stories, "I tried to warn y'all about the real Drake. Now you see it for yourselves." Another, a pop singer who once collaborated with him, tweeted, "When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time." Even industry moguls were hinting at something bigger. A cryptic post from a well-known producer read, "This lawsuit ain't even the half of it. The real storm is coming." Fans were divided. Some defended Drake, claiming all celebrities face fake leaks and smear campaigns. Others demanded accountability, saying this was proof he had been exploiting people for years. But here's the kicker: the escalation nobody saw coming, while Drake's team scrambled to contain the fallout. New rumors began to swirl. The silent partner wasn't just an investor. According to alleged insider leaks, this mysterious figure was someone inside the music industry at the highest level. Someone with the power to bury artists, silence scandals, and control careers. And the most chilling part? Messages suggested Drake wasn't the one pulling strings. He was the one being controlled. That's right. The narrative flipped on its head. What if Drake wasn't the mastermind of betrayal, but the pawn in someone else's game? A tweet from @InsiderOvu added fuel to the fire. Drake's meltdown wasn't anger. It was fear. He knows if he goes down, he's not going down alone. That single tweet sent shockwaves through social media. Fans began speculating. Who was the silent partner? Was it a record label executive? A billionaire investor? Another artist? YouTube comment sections exploded with theories. Reddit threads dissected every frame of the leaked footage. TikTok creators went viral pretending to expose hidden clues in Drake's lyrics. And while the world obsessed over the identity of this mysterious partner, something even more dangerous was happening. Drake was unraveling in real time. Paparazzi caught him storming out of his Toronto mansion, shouting at photographers, slamming his car door so hard it nearly shattered the glass. Neighbors claimed they heard shouting matches at night, loud enough to wake the street. Insiders whispered he was cutting people off left and right, firing staff, accusing his closest friends of betrayal, and demanding loyalty oaths from his inner circle. One insider leaked a shocking message supposedly from Drake's private group chat. "If I find out anyone is leaking, you're finished. Don't test me." The meltdown was no longer confined to a courtroom. It was spilling into the streets, the industry, and the internet. And just when fans thought things couldn't spiral any further, another revelation hit the news cycle, one that reframed everything. Because suddenly, reports began to surface that the lawsuit wasn't even the biggest problem Drake was facing. Behind the scenes, whispers suggested something darker was about to emerge. Something tied not just to Marcus, not just to Aurora, but to the silent partner. And an entire secret operation that Drake was allegedly entangled in. And if those whispers were true, then the courtroom meltdown was only the surface crack of a much deeper, much more dangerous collapse. Deeper, much more dangerous collapse. But what exactly was this hidden operation? Who was truly pulling the strings? And how far would Drake go to keep it from being exposed? The answer was about to shock the entire world. The internet has seen scandals before. Cheating rumors, messy divorces, hidden children, but nothing like this. Drake's lawsuit defeat, his courtroom meltdown, and the avalanche of leaks sent shockwaves across the globe. And the public reaction? It was unlike anything the industry has ever seen. Within minutes of the footage going viral, social media split into two warring armies. On one side, furious fans demanding accountability, saying Drake's betrayal of Marcus and Aurora was unforgivable. On the other, die-hard loyalists defending him tooth and nail, insisting the leaks were fabricated and part of a smear. Campaign. The war played out on Twitter in real time. One viral tweet read, "At Drizzy for life, y'all really believe fake screenshots over a man who gave us 15 years of hits. Stop disrespecting the lass." But another, equally viral, fired back, "At Cancel Culture Queen, this isn't fake. This is who he really is. Y'all just didn't want to see it." Hashtag Drake, Tree exposed. The hashtags told the story. Hashtag Drake Meltdown. Hashtag silent partner. Hashtag Drake exposed. And the most savage of them, all hashtag fake loyalty. Instagram was flooded with memes. Some showed Drake crying in court next to captions like "God's plan didn't include this verdict." Others mocked his threats to Marcus, photoshopping Drake's face onto cartoon villains. TikTok creators jumped in with dramatic reenactments of the courtroom scene. One viral skit with over 10 million views showed a creator dressed as Drake screaming at an imaginary judge, only to be dragged away by security. But while the fans laughed or raged, the industry's reaction was dead serious. Several artists quietly unfollowed Drake on Instagram. A-list collaborators deleted photos with him from their feeds. One prominent DJ, who once called Drake's family, suddenly tweeted, "Funny how loyalty is just a word until you need it back." SMH. Even OVO insiders began acting strange. Longtime associates went radio silent. Rumors spread that some were lawyering up, preparing for fallout. A leaked voice note from someone claiming to be close to Drake said, "He doesn't trust anyone. He's cutting people off left and right. It's like watching a king burn his own castle down." And the mainstream media, they smelled blood in the water. CNN ran a segment titled "Drake, Hip-Hop's Untouchable Star Finally Falls." TMZ released daily updates about his every move, from what he ate for lunch to how many bodyguards were stationed outside his mansion. Rolling Stone published an op-ed questioning whether Drake's legacy could survive this level of exposure. But perhaps the most chilling reaction came from rival rappers. For years, Drake had been beef-proof. He'd crushed Meek Mill, survived Pusha T, and outlasted Kanye's rants. But now, the wolves circled. One rapper posted on Snapchat, "Crazy how the guy who rapped about loyalty is the first to sell his own people out. Tables turn quick." Another took it further, dropping a diss freestyle just hours after the meltdown went viral. The lyrics mocked Drake's courtroom rage, with lines like, "You cried in court while your empire sank. You ain't the sixth god. Just a fraud at the bank." The diss track blew up overnight, adding gasoline to an already raging fire. Fans began wondering, was this the beginning of an all-out war in hip-hop? But here's where it gets even darker. While fans fought online and rappers circled for blood, whispers emerged that sponsors and corporations were quietly reconsidering their deals with Drake. Endorsement contracts were suddenly under review. Upcoming tour dates were rumored to be in jeopardy. One industry source told a reporter, "If this doesn't get cleaned up fast, we're talking billions in potential losses." Nobody wants to be tied to a sinking ship. And through it all, Marcus, the man at the center of the storm, stayed silent. Not a single interview, not a single public post. His silence spoke louder than words, fueling speculation that he had more evidence he was holding back. Fans began speculating that Marcus was waiting for the perfect moment to drop another bombshell. Some even claimed he was in talks with a major streaming service to release a documentary about the betrayal. The stage was set. The public was divided. The industry was bracing for impact. And Drake's enemies were sharpening their knives. But just when everyone thought the controversy had peaked, another revelation surfaced, one that made the lawsuit look like a minor inconvenience. Because the next twist wasn't just about contracts, betrayals, or business deals. It was about something hidden, something far more sinister, something that could not only destroy Drake's career, but also pull powerful figures across the entire music industry into the fire. And once this final twist leaked, there would be no going back, just when the world thought it had seen the full collapse of Drake's empire. The final twist came crashing down like a thunderclap, and it was darker, scarier, and more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. Late one night, a brand new document appeared online, this time not from at Insider OVO, but from a completely new anonymous account calling itself @Silent Witness. The account had 0 followers, 0 posts until one. A single thread that started with the words, "You think you know the truth about Drake. You've only scratched the surface." Here's what the lawsuit was really about. Attached to the post was a file labeled the Silent Partner Agreement. And this file sent shockwaves through the entire entertainment industry. The document, if real, revealed that Drake wasn't just betraying Marcus or Aurora. He was allegedly bound to a shadowy figure known only as the Silent Partner, according to the papers. Drake had signed an agreement years ago, pledging a percentage of his earnings and influence in exchange for industry protection. In simple terms, this silent partner supposedly owned him. Line disturbing clauses: forced silence on industry corruption, mandatory financial kickbacks, and even instructions to sabotage competitors when ordered. One clause even read, "Client agrees to execute all directives without question, regardless of legality or consequence." The internet went ballistic. If this was true, Drake wasn't just guilty of betrayal, he was a pawn in a much larger, sinister operation. And then came the chilling kicker. The final page of the agreement listed witnesses. And one of the names was Marcus? That's right. The man who was suing Drake, the man he betrayed, was allegedly present when this deal was signed. Suddenly, everything looked different. Fans began speculating. Had Marcus been part of this silent partner arrangement all along? Was the lawsuit not revenge, but blackmail? Was Marcus trying to break free, only to drag Drake down in the process? Twitter imploded. Hashtags like #SilentPartner exposed and #WhoControlsDrake trended worldwide. YouTube exploded with conspiracy breakdowns. Some creators claimed this was proof of a hidden cabal in the music industry. Others argued it was fake, a smokescreen to distract from Drake's lawsuit defeat. But then, a new piece of evidence dropped, a leaked voicemail allegedly from Drake himself, left on a close friend's phone just hours after the court meltdown. In it, his voice trembled as he said, "They're turning on me." Marcus isn't the enemy. He was just the bait. If this gets out, it's over for all of us. The words "for all of us" left fans stunned. Who was us? How many people were involved? And who exactly was pulling the strings? Suddenly, this wasn't just about Drake losing a lawsuit. This was about an entire hidden power structure in the music industry, being dragged into the light. Insiders whispered that other A-list artists might also be tied to this silent partner. A cryptic tweet from a famous R&B singer read, "Drake's not the only one. Pray for your favorites." The cliffhanger couldn't have been sharper, because if the silent partner agreement was real, then Drake's meltdown wasn't just legit, was fear. Fear of exposure, fear of betrayal, fear of a secret so big it could take down his entire career, and possibly the careers of many others. And as the smoke settled, one question hung heavy in the air. Who is the silent partner? Was it an industry mogul? A billionaire investor? Another artist hiding in plain sight? Or was this all an elaborate setup designed to destroy Drake once and for all? Nobody knows for sure. But one thing is undeniable: the story isn't over. In fact, it's only just beginning, because every day, more leaks are surfacing. Every day, more whispers are turning into headlines. And every day, Drake's silence looks less like strength, and more like the calm before an even bigger storm. And when that storm hits, the fallout could rewrite music history forever. And now, after everything you've just heard, the lawsuit defeat, the courtroom meltdown, the leaks, the silent partner bombshell, there's only one question left. What happens next? Because let's be honest, this isn't over. Not even close. The story is spiraling out of control, and the next chapter could be even darker. even messier, and even more shocking than what we've already seen. So now, I want to hear from you. Do you believe Drake was the mastermind of betrayal lore? Do you think he's just another pawn in a much bigger game? Was Marcus really the victim? Or was he playing his own dangerous role in this entire scandal? And most importantly, who do you think the silent partner is? A label exec? A billionaire? Another artist? Or someone even scarier, hiding in plain sight? Drop your theories in the comments right now, because trust me, the debate is going to be wild. And don't hold back, because the crazier the theory, the closer we might get to the truth. Make sure you hit that like button if you want more exposes on the hidden scandals of your favorite celebrities. Smash that subscribe button so you never miss a single update, because with leaks dropping almost daily, this story is evolving faster than anyone can predict. And one last thing, turn on notifications. Because when the next piece of evidence drops, when the next bombshell leaks, and when the silent partner's identity is finally exposed, you're going to want to be the first to know. This is bigger than a lawsuit. This is bigger than Drake. This is the unraveling of an entire industry secret, and we're just getting started.